So Zach, you play any good games lately?
I think I know what you're alluding to, Casey.
Yeah, Zach and I have been taking part in the free beta weekend for Predator Hunting Grounds, and it's a pretty cool game. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we definitely have some other shit to talk about first. There's a lot going on.
I've been playing Pictionary via social distancing app.
So I can't do that because I just draw dicks all the time. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's a dick," and I'm like, "Great, I lost." Fuck.
Ironically, the first thing I got was a chainsaw, and when I started to draw it, my girlfriend was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just wait."
I haven't played the Pictionary one. I think it's just like, it's basically Pictionary. It was like draw anything.
Yeah,
game.
I like draw anything because they see your drawing in the order that you draw it. So I used to draw super offensive things for my friends and then draw the real thing. Like erase all the super fucked up shit and then draw the real thing. And technology is amazing. It's bringing you this podcast this week. Let's hear it for technology.
Yeah, guys, I think after this is all over and, we're back to a healthy world, I think we should just keep this going. Just not go outside anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we're all living under the figurative dome here, so it's been interesting. I'm off work for like the next month. When we recorded it last, it was just before like all these quarantine orders hit, so theaters were still open like at that second, and then like right after we finished recording, they're like, nope. Yeah, it's shut down.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going to pay $20 to watch something that's one of the theater releases at home. No.
Yeah, that seems a bit high. Can we talk about that for a second? That seems like a bit high of a price to rent something.
I rented Invisible Man, and I very much enjoyed that. I hadn't gotten around to seeing it, and that was excellent, as you guys reviewed briefly last week. But it is high.
But why did you have to pay $20 more to stream it when you could have paid? I mean, you couldn't have, but why so much more expensive than the theater going?
Especially expensive for Zach and I that have AMC A-list memberships that we would have seen it for $0, which is how I saw it.
Yeah, I know there's some like rental options with A-list, but I haven't explored it yet. But I don't think those are available via the A-list. No. I guess just because they're like, oh, these movies are like in theater this second and they're major releases, so we can charge more an arm and a leg, because you have like indie releases that will also be on video on demand, especially like horror releases, and those are, if they're in theaters, they might be like $8 or something. They might be a little more expensive,
right? And that's like Color Out of Space did that, I think, before it came out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
If I rent a movie for $20, I better get a free VCR to go with it.
And we're just renting it. You only get it for like 24 or 48 hours, and then it's gone for $20.
Yeah.
Don't even get the option to forget to take it back.
It's an interesting. The landscape of the movie industry is changing rapidly. It'd be interesting to see what it looks like after we come out of all this, and how much of this like streaming stuff like stays, and how much of it just reverts back to the norm as it was.
I have been watching as many movies as I would under lockdown. I am still working. I've been deemed essential, but I switched to the night shift.
I am not essential.
Yeah, I switched to the night shift, which means I'm the only one in the office, which means I can watch whatever fucked up movies I want while I work. Ooh. And that has kind of brought us some of the episode. I think we each have some streaming recommendations for you, since we're all kind of in the same boat and locked down. Even if you are going to work, you're going to be locked down the rest of the time, so you might as well find something to watch. Have a little fun.
Yeah, I must admit, I probably would not have watched one of the movies I'm about to talk about had I not just had lots of time, and also looking on my Letterboxd and seeing that I didn't see as many movies in 2019 as I did in 2018, and that can't be. It's like, it's got to go up. So I had to like clock some 2019 movies in there to get those numbers up. You know what I'm saying? I
can't do it. I did 365 in 2012. Never doing it again. But
it's only go up from here, man.
I'm at like a solid 30 something for this year, which has mostly been in the last couple months. I really didn't see all that much in January. But we do have some recommendations.
Wait, 30, you're 30 for 2020?
Yeah, I'm pretty low right now.
Damn, son.
I play a lot of video games.
I've only seen like 5.
Yeah, I've got...
Movies? You've only seen 5 movies?
Wait, like 2020 movies or movies in 2020?
No, movies period in 2020.
Oh, okay,
Letterboxd
see,
tracks
different.
that.
I was like, Chris, there's no way you've just seen 5 movies. I've seen your Letterboxd.
No. I meant I've only seen 5 2020 movies.
I think, yeah, I think. We'll call out of space. Does that count as 2020?
Yeah, of course. I saw that in
does,
January.
Okay, yeah, so I'm at about 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's intro this show for people.
Oh, we're way past that, Zach.
If you haven't tuned in before, welcome. We are Another Miserable Podcast. We are the horror podcast that your mother does not want to know about. I don't know what that means.
We say, fuck.
We're the horror podcast you hide under your bed.
We're the horror podcast that's going to talk about Yautja penises for 2 hours because we've been playing the Predator game.
I started that sentence and I did not know where I was going with that.
Don't worry, I'll finish your sentences.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, during this crazy period. I hope you're staying safe and taking care of yourself. We are Another Miserable Podcast. We kind of explore the intersection of horror and pop culture, so we review current movies and older movies. And today we're kind of just doing a little bit of both. It's kind of a free-for-all episode today. We don't have anything super planned, but we do have some stuff we'd like to talk about. So it should be a fun time. Joining me, as always, are my 2 co-hosts. One on my imaginary left, far away in Arkansas, Mr. Chris Pistol.
I was gonna say, Casey, that could have been either one of us. Who knows?
I know, yeah.
What's in Zach's imaginary space?
Yeah.
Actually, I think I'm imaginary floating above you, Zach.
Okay. You see, sometimes I have good intros cooked up, and sometimes I have nothing.
I guess technically I am on your far left, if you're facing south.
Yeah. You have to be looking towards Mexico.
Technically, in this setup that we're using, you're the video above, and Casey, you're the video below. But I'm just saying left.
Yeah.
Sometimes when the sun is setting, I look towards the sun and I wave at you guys.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we gotta start waving back. Zach.
Yeah,
we're assholes,
so that is Mr. Chris Pistol, and then also joining us, the man that needs no introduction, Professor Casey.
Hi, I'm keeping it real. We're the Triangulo de la Muerte of podcasts. It's Death Triangle for all you honkies out there. Let's go. Can we say that? Can you bleep out honky?
I don't honky is fine as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what slang that is, but if it's slang, then I will cut it out.
It's a derogatory term towards white people, Zach.
Okay, well, if it's towards myself, then it's all right.
Okay, good.
Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. So today, I think we can't really go any further without touching on the passing of the late, great Stuart Gordon. Casey, you said something really wonderful about him on Twitter. Why don't you lead us off with this? Because he is absolute. There's so much you can say about him. He left such a mark on the horror industry.
I don't remember exactly what I said, but Stuart Gordon's movies are the shit. I've always been a huge fan of his. If you watch Reanimator, if you watch From Beyond, if you watch even Castle Freak, which is fucking great. And if you
just watched that this morning, actually.
And check those movies out. Check out his stuff. Motherfucker wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids after he did Reanimator and shit. It's just amazing. And I use motherfucker in the nice sense.
If you have not seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, that is one of the best family adventure movies ever made. Ever. They don't make them like that anymore, guys. They do not make them like that anymore. Take your Jumanjis and your Journey to the Center of the Earth, whatever, all that CGI sheen. They do not make them like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids anymore. That is genuine. The effects are amazing.
Robot bees.
It's not loaded with pun after pun after pun. No Dwayne The Rock Johnson. As much as I love you, Dwayne.
I love that the Stuart Gordon tribute is turning into a bash on the Jumanji movies.
Yeah, it's called Shit on the Rock. What the fuck, Zach?
Just messing. But if you have not seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, it's so great. Perfect thing to watch now. Anytime, really. It's wonderful. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
With Rick Moranis.
But guys, don't listen to that because that wasn't the point. The point is watch Reanimator, watch From Beyond, watch Castle Freak. Okay.
The point is the same guy that wrote and directed Reanimator, From Beyond, Castle Freak, wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, And that is just an example of his wide-ranging brilliance as a writer.
I have never seen Castle Freak. I need to get on that.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty good. It's streaming for free, like 10 places, I think. So
It is on Shudder, and Barbara Crampton is remaking it right now.
What?
I don't know if they finished filming. I think they might have, but I'm sure that post-production is probably delayed at the moment. But yeah, she's remaking it, and it's fantastic. Really, really, it's obviously kind of, they had a lower budget when they were filming it. It looks like it was filmed, probably like 10 plus years before it actually came out in 1995.
No, it's just because they really had a castle.
They did have a castle. It was filmed in Italy. But it's a slow burn, but it's a good story, and it's engaging, and it's like, if you're used to like Reanimator and From Beyond, this is going to be a bit different from you, but it still's got Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton, so you'll feel at home. It's just not as like ooey and goozy as his earlier efforts.
I was gonna say, is Reanimator and From Beyond just like the best ooey and gooey double feature?
I think so.
Exists?
Yeah, I mean,
and if you throw Society in there. Yeah, that's Society.
Screw Society, get Color Out of Space in there, and get 3 awesome fucking Lovecraft adaptations that are ooey
That's
and
true.
gooey.
That's true. Color Out of Space is immensely entertaining right now. And anytime, really. I think one of the things I really appreciate about like Reanimator and From Beyond, I think that Stuart Gordon was able to tap into, is he creates the most like wonderful over-the-top villains that you've seen in horror. It almost reminds me, if you see like in like the 90s, one of the big things with like comedies, like over-the-top comedies, was having really over-the-top villains. Like any Adam Sandler movie, like, Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore, you had like your Bradley Whitford and your Christopher McDonald, these super over-the-top guys. And I feel like Stuart Gordon did that in these horror films, in Reanimator, and you have like the decapitated head, David Gale. And then From Beyond, and From Beyond, you have like Ted Sorrell, who's just this mass of this terrifying creature, but he's so like over the top, and it's scary and funny scary and funny at the same time. But I just
he looks like my nutsack.
I feel like that's something that not really many other horror directors were able to capture in the 80s. Yeah. Obviously, you had like your Freddy Krueger and stuff, but what Stuart Gordon did was really unique and original. And so entertaining, and I think that's one of the things that made his film so special, is having those amazing, antagonists to pit against, the brilliant Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs,
and some tremendous practical effects work.
Yes,
even in Castle Freak, which shouldn't have been able to afford it.
Yeah.
And he directed the Reanimator musical too.
I have not seen that, but that sounds awesome.
I know.
I've come close, but I didn't get to go.
I still need to see the Evil Dead musical. One of our good family friends, hey Matt, if you're listening, he played Ash in a version of the Evil Dead musical. I'm not sure where the production was based. I think maybe Long Beach somewhere. I'm not sure, but I still need to see that.
Yeah, they did one here, and I was too jealous that I didn't get cast, so I didn't go.
Did you go? Did you go out for Ash?
No, I didn't audition.
Oh,
I totally missed it. Didn't hear about it. I would have, though.
I've come close to seeing the Vegas run of that, but did not. It wasn't in the cards. Actually, I think Reanimator played at the same place, maybe? Either way, you get a little wet in the audience.
Seems appropriate.
Anyone else, you guys have anything else you want to add on to about the late, great Stuart Gordon?
My thoughts are with Barbara Crampton, who's having a hard time with this, especially working on a remake of one of his movies that has his blessing. They were really good friends. I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, all reports were that he was just the sweetest, most gentle person, and he'll be missed dearly. But his mark on the horror industry will never be forgotten and will always be there, and his films will always be around. And highly, highly, please seek them out. If you have not seen them, they're tremendous, super entertaining.
If you've not seen them, you shouldn't be listening to this podcast. Stop, watch the movies, come back.
Hey, we're introducing these films to people. If you have not seen them, don't feel bad, but go see them.
Oh yeah.
And when you're watching From Beyond, I want you to remember that I watched it with my grandma once. It was the TV version. But
you watched that with your grandma?
Yeah, it was the TV version. It was on Channel 13. Everything was cut out of it.
Like a gingerbread man.
Pretty tremendous.
That's all I have left to say.
Pretty tremendous.
Okay, guys.
Dad, details later.
So if you've longtime listeners, if you've been following our podcast, we usually have a reoccurring segment, imaginatively titled "Don't Cross the Streams." In that segment, we recommend horror titles that are available on streaming services. Mm-hmm. Well, right now, that's pretty much all we have to watch. So that's probably what this podcast is going to be for the next couple of weeks, more or less. And so we're just going to talk about what we've been watching lately. So who wants to jump in?
I'll throw in some Blu-ray and DVD backlog shit, too, because I've been hitting that pretty hard as well. But not this episode, maybe next time. I got a lot of streaming stuff for people.
Okay, guys, so who wants to start off with a recommendation, or not recommendation, whatever you've been watching?
I'll go first.
Anything goes today.
Well, this is streaming. I got a couple of streaming options. But last night I was just going through some 2019 stuff to catch up back catalog, and I was in the mood for some horror, so I finally caught up and watched, per you guys' recommendation, Annabelle Comes Home.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Despite the fact that
Goosebumps.
Despite the fact that I fucking hated the first two Annabelle movies so much, you guys. I really did not like them. They were really very bad.
The second one wasn't that bad.
I was fine with the second one, but I'll give you that on the first. They stole the ending from The Exorcist. They can eat the biggest piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so boring. But the third one is actually, you guys were right. It was not boring at all. In fact, I thought it was pretty fun. And I feel like that's the biggest, the biggest left turn for the series is guys, what if we just made this fun and threw the kitchen sink in there? And clearly, I feel like the person who directed this one, wanted to have more of a fun time with it, wanted to throw more stuff in there. And some of it felt like, oh yeah, we're just planting seeds for future Conjuring movies. I think they're working on a Ferryman movie. But that was so much fun. I couldn't believe there was a fucking ghost werewolf in there, guys. I mean, once the ghost werewolf showed up, I was like, oh yes, this just turned very good.
So you liked the ghost werewolf?
I loved the ghost werewolf.
I thought he just looked so shitty that it ruined the movie for me a little bit. If I was going to knock off a full star from the rating, it would be the ghost werewolf's fault.
Oh, I mean, just the fact that there was a ghost werewolf, I was just so...
I'll talk to you about some shitty-looking werewolves later on. It's something I watched.
Oh, did you watch Ginger Snaps?
No, not Ginger Snaps. Okay. Something else.
Oh, Dog Soldiers?
No, not Dog Soldiers.
But just the fact
all
that
of those
it's
are on Shudder.
Yeah, they are.
Just the fact that it was it was also I just like the premise, it's something we haven't quite seen before. Well, we have, but not in a while anyway, of just having these three kid leads, and they're in this house. It's basically a One Crazy Night movie, which I love One Crazy Night movies.
Yeah, yeah.
It just felt like it reminded me a lot of The Gate in a few ways, of just this, we're in this house, we got this problem, the adults can't help us, we've got to figure it out ourselves. It probably could have just used some more interesting plot elements. They're pretty much just how they solve the problem at the end of the movie is they just throw the doll back into her case and shut the door. And it was oh, okay. But it's still, I thought it was a lot of fun, and I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I felt like it was one of the few horror films that actually did a good job giving the girl who does something really fucking stupid a logical reason for doing what she did.
A little bit, but still.
Somewhat logical. She was still stupid, and you were just wondering why she was just not getting out of that freaking basement. But at least there was some logic to why she was doing what she was doing, so I appreciated that. But yeah, my other problem with that movie is that you just kind of want to see more of the Warrens, and they're only in there for a minute because it's not a movie about them.
I figured it was just gonna be a open book thing.
Yeah.
But no, I had a lot of fun with it, and I liked all the characters. I even liked the boyfriend character who,
oh yeah, he was
shows
fun.
up for a minute and spends most of his time outside running from the fucking werewolf.
Bob's got balls!
Bob's got balls, yes.
Anyway, man. Yeah, Annabelle Comes Home. That was a good one.
What's your star rating, Chris?
Oh, I think I gave it I was feeling chipper, so I gave it a 3.5.
Nice. I do gotta say, just a quick transition for it. I don't want it to be my whole thing, but I did watch Curse of La Llorona. It's on HBO now, right now.
Okay.
And it is part of the Conjuring universe, very loosely.
Yeah, this is the one none of us had seen when we did our Conjuring episode.
Yeah, I'd give it about a 2-ski. It was boring.
2-ski, okay.
Yeah.
A 2-ski.
Well,
give it a solid sweaty deuce.
Hopefully we can catch the next Conjuring in theaters this year. I think it's The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And I don't think it's The Conjuring 3. It's just The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And I don't know why they took 3 out of the title. It annoys me.
Because numbers are lame now, Zach.
But that movie has a lot to live up to because I love The Conjuring too.
Speaking of the devil, Zach.
Yes, speaking of.
I watched a very great movie right before we started recording, and it is available on Shudder. It is Satanic Panic.
I almost watched this, but I didn't.
You fucked up. This movie is great.
Okay.
Okay, so it's directed by Chelsea Stardust. I want to get a little bit into the writer, though. The writer of this movie is Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrix is the shit. You should look up his work. He did a tremendous, wonderful book called Paperbacks from Hell about the 70s and 80s horror paperback boom. All these really trashy horror books. It's a tremendous, tremendous book. Got both me and my friend Kevin really into those books, and it's making a lot of them available again when they've been out of print for about 30 years now, which is doing God's work, I tell you. But Grady's also written a couple books himself, such as My Best Friend's Exorcism, which is a tremendous book. Highly recommend that one.
Also one of the coolest looking books you will ever see.
Yeah, it's got a very 80s throwback cover. There's also a book called Horror Store, which completely ruined a script Zach and I were writing. But it's good. It's good. So it's completely fine. It's actually a good book. I'm not all the way through that one, but it's pretty good so far. I tend to read like 10 books at once and then eventually get through each of them. Now, he wrote this film. My Best Friend's Exorcism got optioned for a script, so if you see a movie version of that, definitely check it out. But it's about a pizza girl who goes to deliver to a rich neighborhood. They stiff her on the tip, so she sneaks inside the house to bitch them out and get some money. And she gets caught up in a ritualistic satanic sacrifice situation.
This is the plot of Satanic Panic, not My Best Friend's Exorcism.
Yes, and it is a fucking tremendous movie. Hilarious. Some dickhead on IMDb said it tries too hard. Nah, it doesn't. It's actually really funny. The less I say about it, the better. Just gotta say, you do get to see 2 people killed by a giant robotic penis. Automatic 1-star addition to the rating. This one, all of the comedy lands. The horror, kind of, sort of. There's definitely some great gore in this film, and some interesting uses of satanic powers that you haven't seen in other movies, which are really awesome. I highly recommend it. It's available on Shudder. It is a Shudder exclusive. I give it 4 stars out of 5. I would watch it again. It was dope.
Nice.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, I guess I'll give something I watched. I will talk about the werewolf movie, I guess.
Yay, more werewolves.
I watched this movie that was on Shudder called Howl. It's from 2015, and about like a third of the way through, I realized I'd seen it before, but I just didn't remember a lot about it. I think I fell asleep through it the first time I watched it.
Never happened to me before.
Yeah, I had a werewolf movie put me to sleep this week too, actually. That's interesting.
Yeah. This one didn't put me to sleep, but it was just kind of, it was okay. Like, it has a cool setup. It's like it takes place in like London. This like Metrolink train breaks down in the middle of nowhere in like the forest. There's a bunch of like douchebags on board this train. You kind of meet everyone on this train, so everyone there's a lot of characters, a good cast of characters, so lots of victims if that's your thing. And, the main guy is just this kind of depressed, train. I guess he's the guard, technically, but he just kind of goes around, checking tickets and stuff. And he's just he just hates his job, clearly. He didn't get this promotion. there's a girl that works with him on the train that he likes. So it has a good setup. And, and then all of a sudden things start to happen, like noises start hitting the train, and then the train driver goes out and checks on things, and then he's killed by something that you can't see. And eventually it's revealed to be like a pack of werewolves, like actual like Wolfman style werewolves, not like 4 legs. These guys are walking on 2 legs. You don't see them until much later on. The problem with this movie is that it's just it's like very dark, so it's not like it's not well lit, so you can't see things that great.
I got one of those too. Interesting.
Yeah. The cast is fine. It's just, it felt like they could do a little bit more with the setup than they're doing. They could have created a bit more suspense. It drags out a bit longer than it should. It takes a little too long to see the wolf. And then when you see the werewolves, they're kind of, you see just one initially, and he's like super roided up. He looks like freaking Batista as a werewolf, but like not as cool as you would think it'd be. Like, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad at all. It's like kind of half CG and half practical effects. It looks okay. It's just, and there's some good like death scenes and stuff. It's not bad. I think it felt like they could be doing more with this. There aren't really any twists or turns. Certain passengers, become more, antagonistic, and others are, more protagonists. But like, it's okay. I don't have a lot to say about it because it was just okay. Like, it has a great setup. It's like, it has a really good setup. Like, it could be something really cool, but it just doesn't do a lot with it. Eventually more werewolves are introduced, and it kind of loses that suspense when it's more than one. Like, if it was just one the whole time, it would have been a little, I think, more atmospheric. But when it becomes like a pack, it just kind of becomes more of a zombie movie, and not like Train to Busan zombie movie, just kind of a generic zombie movie.
So you're saying I should steal the premise for one of my scripts for class, because no way will have any of my professors even heard of this movie.
I don't know if I can condone that, but if you want to, my friend, go for it. I'm sure you can write a better.
There's so much content out there, guys, that it's just the right
Everything's
time.
been done,
The right time for stealing is now.
Put your own spin on it.
And Zach, you shit on the Wolfpack concept, but I have it on good authority that you should not turn your back on the Wolfpack, or you might end up in a body bag. Thank you. What's your rating, Zach?
I guess 2 out of 5.
Whew. Okay.
Maybe 2.5. It's not bad. It's really not bad. I'm being harsher than. It's just kind of boring.
I watched a horror movie, a werewolf movie, briefly on HBO, and I say briefly because I actually used my plugin that let me watch the movie on double speed. That's how much it fucking sucked. 80s werewolf movie called The Company of Wolves. Fuck that movie. Don't watch it. 1 star. Every single person that's talked that up and made me want to see it is shit to me now. Complete garbage. Oh, God. That's how much it sucked.
Okay. Chris, anything else you want to recommend?
Well, I pulled up another one. This one I feel like is properly themed. Wait, hold on. Before we go on, you can cut this out, Zach. Have I talked about Lake Mungo on this show before?
No, we actually have not talked about Lake Mungo, but that is a good film.
Well, maybe if I want to go again, I'll talk about Lake Mungo. Okay. But right now, so properly themed to what's going on, I want to recommend a quarantine style movie that not many people, everybody seems to be, it's weird that everybody went to Steven Soderbergh's Contagion as like the quarantine movie to watch. And 28 Days Later is also really great, but I want to throw in one. So this is 1964's The Last Man on Earth, starring Vincent Price.
Mm-hmm. An I Am Legend adaptation.
Yeah, it's based on I Am Legend, but changing the name. I'm not sure if they changed the title because they thought it would be more obvious for a 1960s audience or something. But
I don't know. Mega Man did it too.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I Am Legend is just too obscure. But it is a breezy hour and 26 minutes long. It is Vincent Price versus the crazy vampire people. Ooh. Who are, it's pretty much a proto-zombie movie. But I mean, I Am Legend is a pre-Night of the Living Dead zombie work, which is highly influential, but
zombies, vampires.
These zombie vampires actually talk though, and it actually makes it a little bit more disturbing because there's a sequence that they're basically like banging on his door, like telling him to let him in. They're just like screaming in pain. And he's just inside, like going insane, and it's pretty crazy. Crazy. But
as cool as the Omega Man is, I kind of prefer this version, actually.
Yeah, I mean, one, it's got Vincent Price in it, so I mean, if you're gonna have the two, put the one that has Vincent Price in it is gonna get my eyeballs.
Vincent
on it. No
Vincent Price as the last man on Earth. Say no more. That is.
Pretty much.
Can't get better than that.
Also, this movie has like one of the best posters ever. I want this poster. Someone needs to find it for me and give it to me as a Christmas present.
Oh, let me see this poster.
It's basically like Vincent Price's head looking dramatically while creepy
yeah,
house in the background.
yeah. We used to sell that at Halloween Town.
Nice.
I think.
It's not one of the best Vincent Price movies. I'd probably put it in like a middle to high tier. I might slip it in the top 10 if I'm feeling generous. But it's still, I think it's worth checking out. And if I'm feeling cool. Theme watching. Personally, at this time, I'm looking for any sort of fun distraction from the sadness of real life. So I don't want to be reminded of what's going on in the world when I watch movies right now. Which is why I have not revisited Contagion or 28 Days Later. But this is a fun one. People should definitely check out. I feel like it's not as well known as a lot. Even in Vincent Price circles, it's not as well known as some of his more iconic stuff.
Very cool. On that same token, there was a comedy series, The Last Man on Earth, not related at all, but it started created by Will Forte. It's actually pretty great. If you're looking for a quick binge, it only went 3 seasons and they canceled it, so it doesn't have a decisive conclusion, unfortunately, which is a shame because they set up like a really big cliffhanger. But it's really enjoyable, and it has one of the best pilots for like a sitcom I've ever seen. So
I loved the pilot.
Yeah.
And starting with the second episode lost me. I was like,
I would
same.
Stick with it because it's not it gets better. I mean, the pilot is just so good, but it's still really entertaining. I highly recommend that. And if you're looking for another comedy to watch that's more in the horror genre, What We Do in the Shadows season 2 is starting next month. One of my favorite comedies right now. The first season is so good. If you have not seen the movie, watch the movie as well. It's excellent. But the TV series is fantastic. Season 2 happens, I think, in maybe second week of April. So fantastic. Highly recommend checking out the first season. It's all on Hulu. Really, really tremendous. So good. So highly recommend giving that a watch.
If these people want comedy, I can give you motherfuckers some comedy right now, okay? It's not intentional comedy. I just want to start this off by saying some movies are complete garbage. Completely like fucking undeniably garbage. The shittiest movies you've ever seen.
Oh, I know what you're going to talk about right now.
But there's just sometimes they become essential viewing because of it. And this one is one I've heard people talking about for years. I never saw it, but it's on Amazon Prime now. I wasn't going to pay money for that shit.
Oh my gosh.
But it's on Amazon Prime now, and that is the movie known as Things.
Things.
Someone once told me you don't watch things, you experience it. I think that's pretty accurate. Because it's fucking terrible. Basically, a bunch of Canadians
Canucks
got together, got drunk, and made a movie on shot to video. Somewhere along the line, they fucked the sound up really bad. So they had to completely do ADR for the whole movie. But for some reason, some of the original sound manages to bleed through in some of the scenes anyway. So you hear
it sounds like they were drunk while filming it, drunk while editing it, and then drunk while doing the ADR.
They're probably drunk while coming up with the concept and creating the monsters as well, because they look fucking terrible.
I have seen the trailer for this, and it is, wow. It's a spectacle.
I mean, you gotta watch the whole thing. It lags a little bit in the middle, but trust me, it makes up for it in the end. It is very gory, but none of the gore is particularly convincing or enjoyable. Most of the movie isn't convincing or enjoyable, but it's hilarious because it's so bad. That's why it's become kind of a cult classic. it's basically a ripoff of Evil Dead with these weird bug monsters. And watch Evil Dead instead.
Evil Dead with bug monsters? Say no more.
Yeah, they actually directly reference watching Evil Dead in the movie as well. You know, just so they hit you right over the head with that.
Hey, I did that in one of my short films.
Was this made before? Because it came out in like 89, right? So was this before Evil Dead 2?
No, because it steals some shit that was in Evil Dead 2, so it can't be.
It must have been released like right after.
Or the
they managed to get it out into the VHS market and have it available for rental because, see, 89 seems late because that's past the VHS boom where people would have taken anything. So the fact that this got released is a little concerning to me. But I highly recommend checking it out. I highly recommend, after you check it out, watching Red Letter Media's Half in the Bag make fun of it. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that's a great episode.
And you really, really need to subject yourself to this film. I didn't say watch it. I said subject yourself to it.
Oh, Evil Dead 2 was 87. Okay, that makes sense.
And 5 out of 5 stars. It's a must-see cinematic experience.
I was going to say, I saw you rate that 5 out of 5. Okay.
So I don't fuck around, Zach.
So
People
that
need
was
to know
Things.
the must-sees. That was Things.
Okay, I got a solid recommendation here. So if you're into Evil Dead, if you like Evil Dead, if you're a fan of Trick or Treat, which came out in 1986, this isn't as good as Trick or Treat, but it's as close as we've gotten to Trick or Treat since that came out. And this is a movie called Deathgasm. Came out in 2015.
Zach, I'm looking at images. This looks not good.
It's better than it looks. It's better than it looks.
Some of you guys might know this because Joe Bob did an episode of it, which is a seal of approval saying that you should see it before Zach says anything and ruins it in your mind.
It's directed by Jason Lee Howden, who you might know if you've seen that trailer for this movie called Guns Akimbo starring Daniel Radcliffe. It's trailer where he has like 2 guns stapled to his wrists. Mm-hmm. It looks pretty wild. I have not seen it. I think it just came out like a month ago.
I haven't either. Apparently it got buried because the director said some really bad shit online.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm recommending one of his movies right now.
Oh, well. I think he apologized, but
I just want to tell the audience that whatever he said, Zach agrees wholeheartedly.
No, I do not.
He chose.
I do not know what he said. I do not agree with what he said. But I think one of the reasons this film works is because it is a New Zealand production. So everyone in the cast is, I'm pretty sure, from New Zealand. But it just makes it adds a charm to it that if it didn't have otherwise, this film would not work nearly as well. It does a few things that are a little kind of almost Zombieland-ish in that it has like graphics pop on the screen when it's like introducing characters, and there's a lot of like dream sequence kind of things. It follows this heavy metal teenager named Brody. This is kind of where the Trick or Treat influence comes in. His mom was like taken to a mental institution, and so he has to move in with his cousin and his uncle and aunt, and his cousin is a piece of shit, bully, and he has this hot girlfriend that he likes, but he's just he has no friends, so he befriends this other heavy metal fan named Zach. They join a band, and then they raid this kind of legendary rocker's house who just happens to be hiding out in New Zealand after he kind of got really into Satanism and stuff like that. He has this record, and they find this sheet music in his apartment, and they start to play it, and it pretty much unleashes a bunch of demons onto this small New Zealand town.
Gee, I wonder where they got that idea from, Trick or Treat 1986.
Yeah. It's not super original. There is no Sammy Kerr, so it's nowhere near the level of Trick or Treat.
God rest his soul. There's no Sammy Kerr because he passed away in the 80s, so it's very sad. I mean the actor, not the character, but I'm sad about both.
The demons that appear are very much of the Evil Dead mold. It actually reminds me a little bit more tonally of like Ash vs. Evil Dead, which is another fantastic show. If you've not seen that, check out Ash vs.
Speaking
Evil
of
Dead.
fantastic shows that this movie is a lot like, have you guys seen Todd in the Book of Pure Evil?
Oh, I've heard of it. I actually have not checked it out yet.
Tremendous show. It is a better version of this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a series. Jason Mewes is in it.
Oh, okay.
He plays a janitor. Yeah, it's actually a really fucking funny show. I think it was on whatever the horror network was before Shudder came along. Chiller, maybe. I'm pretty sure that's where it kind of.
That sounds right. Chiller or something like that sounds right.
I'm looking it up right now, actually.
Did you watch all of Deathgasm?
FearNet. It was on FearNet. No, honestly, yeah, I do gotta say I'm shitting on this movie because I got bored with it halfway through and stopped watching it. Zach says it gets better the longer you watch it, so my opinions are shit on this right now.
Pretty much, yeah, nothing really happens until like the second half of the film. It's not like slow pace, it just takes a while to get to the good stuff. There's also like this satanic cult that's chasing the two protagonists around after they've unleashed these demons, and there's some good jokes in there. The protagonist, played by Milo Cawthorn, is really likable. It's a fun film. Kimberly Crossman kind of channels her Barbara Crampton here, obviously, is who they're kind of going for, and she plays this badass kind of chick who gets into heavy metal, and it's a good watch. It's not gonna blow your mind. I'd probably give it about 2.5 stars. It's if you want something to watch, it's not too intense, but some good gore effects and some New Zealand charm. Highly recommend. Solid
Dead
recommend.
Alive.
Solid, yeah, highly recommend Dead Alive. Solid recommend to Deathgasm. Which I found out, apparently, according to the wiki, I don't know, some video stores censored, or Walmart censored the title, Deathgasm. Apparently, that was funny. Too hardcore.
They do that a lot, actually.
I'm trying to remember what they actually called it instead, but it was something ridiculous. Hold on. Oh, okay, wiki. They renamed it to the more acceptable title, Heavy Metal Apocalypse. Oh.
Yeah, they renamed it to Rock Jizz, and this I'll try it again.
It's not as try hard as it looks. It looks like one of those movies that's just trying really hard to be like edgy and cool. It works better than you think, and I'm telling you, it's because it takes place in New Zealand. If this was American, it would not work.
Yeah, Todd in the Book of Pure Evil was Canadian, so
yeah. See,
yeah.
I gotta admit, like even if I had given up on One Cut of the Dead, that that would not have been. You
didn't like the first half? You just watched One Cut of the Dead.
Yeah. It's not that I didn't like the first half. I guess this can be my unofficial next recommendation. But if you haven't seen One Cut of the Dead, it's fucking awesome. But the movie comes together in like the last third.
Oh, absolutely! You don't really get a complete picture of it until the end of the movie.
Yeah. So I can see people like starting to watch it, or dum-dums watching it, and then giving up on it like 30 minutes towards the end, like 30 minutes in, and you're missing out. You're truly missing out.
Yeah.
The last 30 minutes of that movie is just so enjoyable.
It's pretty brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the first half this is cool and really well done, and then the second half is like, holy shit, this is really impressive and hilarious.
Yeah, well, the middle chunk, you're like, okay, what? Where is this? What? And then when you finally realize what it's doing, you're like, oh fuck yes. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful nod to just celebration of filmmaking and making horror movies and movies in general. Mm-hmm. I can't recommend that film enough. So that is One Cut of the Dead. And Chris, did you have another thing you wanted to recommend? Because I know this probably wasn't what you were going to talk about. So
nope.
Go for it.
Okay. Let's see.
Or Casey, either way.
Chris? Did you give a star rating? Sorry, I'm a stickler on the star ratings.
Oh, for which one?
One Cut of the Dead.
Oh, okay. One Cut of the Dead. I think I gave it a solid 4 out of 5.
I believe, yeah, that's what you gave it.
I think that's right where I was too.
I was at 4.5, but they're just for the whole picture. But I think. Just watch it. It's a great film. And
don't read anything about it.
Don't read anything about it. Yeah, just watch it. Okay, Chris, did you have another streaming title that you wanted to recommend or not recommend? What have you else have you been watching lately?
That's pretty much it. Okay. But other than that, I mean, I've been watching. I've been still doing schoolwork, so like while that's going on, and I just have like old Doctor Who. I've just been getting the old Doctor Who Blu-rays as they've been releasing, and they've been stacking up. So I'm like trying to catch up.
We watched a Doctor Who on FaceTime the other day.
Oh,
it's called Blink.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a ton of Doctor Who, but this was pretty cool. So if you want to watch a standalone episode of Doctor Who, check out Blink.
Absolutely.
It's season 3 of the reboot.
Yes. Yeah. David Tennant season 3 era. Yeah, fantastic episode
with Carey Mulligan.
It's got some like almost like Are You Afraid of the Dark vibes to it.
It does, yeah.
Like it would make a great Are You Afraid of the Dark episode.
Absolutely.
But also just some great bit of time travel, timey-wiminess.
Yes. Casey, did you have anything else that you wanted to recommend or talk about?
Yeah, I have to throw this in. It's an Amazon Prime thing. It is not a horror movie, but it is trashy, gory, and fucked up. And as you guys know, that's my wheelhouse. It's everything I look for in a horror movie, just in a martial arts action movie. It is called Karate Kill. I highly recommend it. I could not recommend it enough. Let me sell you guys on this as Zach glitches out and probably does not record this conversation. One scene that I want to talk about here. So there's this karate master, and he fucks people up the whole film. He's looking for his sister that was kidnapped and forced into this cult, right? So he's caught by the cult. He has to fight a samurai. So the way that they do this fight is they put them in the back of an 18-wheeler truck, and they line the walls of the 18-wheeler with barbed wire. Then they start driving it down the road. So he has to fight with his bare hands and feet a samurai with a fucking sword in a moving truck, and the driver is purposely fucking him up because this is being streamed to people all over the internet. So every time he's about to win, the driver like slams on the brakes and the guy gets a little bit closer to the blade, you know. And this fight, pretty tremendous. Something that should sell you on the movie. If that doesn't appeal to you, I don't know what to fucking tell you. This movie is a gory mess, has real little Tokyo in it, which is a bonus. And I can't recommend it enough. Don't want to talk too much about it because there's a lot of fun little surprises with the karate and the fighting and all the fucked up shit that happens. So check it out. It's called Karate Kill. It has a lot of the same vibe as Turbo Kid, but a much, much more R-rated version of that and a much more fucked up version of that. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Again, that's available on Amazon Prime. I gave it a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Now, Zach, do you have anything else?
Would you say that this is a good movie to kick it to?
Yes. But if you are if you're easily offended, you're probably not listening to this podcast. But if you're easily offended, this is not the movie for you. I'm just saying. It's trashy. I've said trashy like 10 times. So people should get that warning.
Chris is just pulling a George Costanza there, just trying to leave on a high note. That's it for me, everybody. I'm out.
I've never seen an episode of Seinfeld, but I do watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I fucking love that show.
If you do not watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, your quarantine is set. Just watch every season of that. I am so jealous. If you have not seen an episode,
I'm up to season 3 already, so it's
Season 10, the latest season, is fantastic. If you weren't a big fan of the last season or whatever,
I was gonna say Larry David is George Costanza in real life.
Oh, he doesn't.
He is. That. No, the character is based on him.
No, I know, but he doesn't like that on the show.
Do I have anything else? Sorry, that was a tangent. I still need to see The Hunt. I don't really want to.
But... Not for $20. No.
Maybe I'll take one for the team. I did see The Grudge and The Turning, which neither of you guys have seen. They're both god-awful.
Fuck that. I saw Things, dude. Don't even start.
Hey, I guarantee you that was way more entertaining than The Turning or The Grudge. I 100%
I think you need to watch. I think you need to watch and find out.
I saw the trailer. That trailer was way more entertaining than anything in Turning or The Grudge.
Okay, I'll give you that. We do have something to talk about, Zach.
Oh, yeah, we teased talking about the Predator Hunting Grounds game that you invited me to play the beta in.
Yeah, okay, so this is really fun. By the time you hear this, it's going to be over, but the weekend that we're recording this, they did a free beta weekend. The game doesn't come out until the end of April. So they had me at the start because I'm a huge fan of the Friday the 13th game. And I'm talking about the current gen Friday the 13th game, not the piece of shit Nintendo game. Even though I'm a fan of that as well because I grew up playing it, but it kind of follows the same thing, but it's the Predator. And it doesn't have a property that legal problems are ruining everything like the Friday the 13th game, which couldn't really get updated or have anything added to it because of the Friday the 13th court case. They were supposed to add Jason X. It was like the last thing. But they weren't allowed to do it. So like they teased it and it sounded awesome and everyone wanted it to happen and then they weren't allowed to do it. So Predator does the same kind of conceit. It's an asymmetrical online game. So basically, 5 people play at any time. You can tell the computer which side you prefer, and you might get assigned it, but it's done at random. So one player is the predator, and his task is killing all of the fire team, which is the other 4 players. Now, the other 4 players can do a bunch of different stuff. They actually have a bunch of missions assigned to them. So this is very different than Friday the 13th, where survival was the only mission. You're actually taking down drug dealers. You're fighting AI soldiers. You're doing all of this stuff. And the Predator can kill AI soldiers as well to gain some experience points. So you're not just killing other players. There's actually other conflict there, and it makes the world feel more alive. It makes it feel like there's more danger and more things happening during the levels. So I think it's a pretty good design idea. But the Predator is super, super powerful. He is killable, and he's a lot more killable than Jason, if you're familiar with the Friday the 13th game.
He is so overpowered. Apologies to Chris, who is not a gamer. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, he is way overpowered.
I don't know what you're talking about. I played Dead or Alive 3 on Xbox back in 2005.
I apologize. I'm mistaken. Yeah, so I'm not a huge online multiplayer guy. I tend to play more single player stuff, but this was a lot of fun. Anytime Casey was Predator, he kicked my ass.
Well, I mean, the Predator should kick everyone's ass.
That's true.
Unless you're playing a full game with a full squad.
Are there any games where there's more than one Predator, or is this just a one Predator?
No. There's only one Predator.
Is there? Are they going to have Alien DLC?
I doubt it, but it does carry the Fox license, and so does Aliens, so you never know. But they seem to have their separate own game deals, so I don't think it'll happen.
Okay.
We have had some great Alien versus Predator games in the past, but I don't think this is going to be one of them. The most recent of which actually being Mortal Kombat 10 that featured them both as DLC characters, which is interesting.
That's true.
But yeah, it's a pretty fun game. I actually went all in and pre-ordered it based on the beta. I really like it. I haven't been reading up on it. I don't know if there's single-player content coming. I know Friday the 13th eventually got it, but they didn't get it for a long time. The game launched, and then they eventually added it in. So I don't know if that's going to be something that you're going to be doing later on, but I do have to say it is fun playing online, even if you're playing with strangers. I managed to reach the level cap in this demo, which was set at 25. It unlocked 3 of the 4 human kind of loadouts that you can do. There's a lot of customization you can do. Picking weapons, picking visual stuff for the humans or the predators. They didn't let you use any of the other predator classes. There were 4 of those as well. They only let you use one of them. Basically, the classes are you have one that's fast, you have one that's strong and slow, and then you have the medium one, which is the default one you get. And then the humans also have a recon guy that's meant to be a sniper that hides in the shadows and stuff. The predators don't have that because they always fucking do that. But yeah, you can do all the predatory things like heat vision, turning invisible. So as you can see, that already kind of gives you a hint of how overpowered the predator can be. Because he can sneak up on you. You can do cool shit, though. You can smear mud on yourself so he can't see you in the heat. You can be really quiet so he can't hear you. All of these things are ways for the predator to find you, And it's going to be... It's a good time. I've had missions where we've successfully won and completed the mission, and I've had missions where we've killed the predator. I've been killed as the predator and nuked the whole level, and it's game over for everyone. Good times. I think that's going to be a tool some people might use to grief people playing the game, let the predator die really fast and blow themselves up. So that might need a little work, but yeah, it's good times. If you kill the predator and he doesn't blow himself up, your mission becomes protect the body so that the government can get it to run tests on, which is kind of cool. And I can't recommend it enough. Check it out. If you liked Friday the 13th, you'll definitely love this. If you didn't like Friday the 13th, I'd suggest checking it out first and then grabbing this when it comes out. You have a whole month and you're not fucking going anywhere, so check it out.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the reminder, Casey.
Yep.
And if you have a Switch and you really just want to chill out, get Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Let me tell you,
the most metal game in the world. No, seriously.
If you have a Switch, they've released Friday the 13th for that as well. I cannot vouch for it playing good. Gonna guess that it's probably not any good on the Switch.
Yeah, I don't know if I could vouch for that, but yeah.
It has one of the best ads for any video game that shows Jason sitting at a bus stop playing the Switch. It's pretty fucking hilarious.
I will say it's been funny with Animal Crossing because people are like importing like custom like logos and stuff, and people are like creating horror scenes. There was just an article on IGN of people recreating like scenes from Midsummer in Animal Crossing.
Man, I just saw someone freaking out that a Lucha Libre mask is in the game, and it's just the Shocker mask from Kamen Rider. He's not a luchador. He's just like
well,
the
it's funny, like so
patrol.
people like can import custom things. So they're like importing like blood splatter, and they're putting it on the ground. And there's this one character named Gulliver. He's like a seagull, and he'll crash on the shore and like passed out. And so they're putting blood splatter on the ground where he crashes on the shore. It just looks like a murder scene.
I have met Gulliver before. He's from some of the other games. Yeah.
Animal Crossing is a good time. It's perfect for what we're going through right now, so it came out at just the right time. Also, speaking of Mortal Kombat, I know we never talk about video games here, so I think it was leaked that Ash is coming to Mortal Kombat 11. So if you're a Mortal Kombat guy, that's something to look forward to. I was bummed.
It's 100% definite. He was actually supposed to come out previously, but they replaced him with the Joker. This is real. He's getting released. They fucked up and left his trademark information, one of the emails this time, so it's there.
Yeah, I like barely play Mortal Kombat. I like tried to do like all the tutorials, and by the time I'd finished like all of them, I was like, I have no idea how to do any of this.
I play it a lot. I love the game. I've been a fan since the very first one.
It is a great game. Just skip the tutorials and just mash buttons. That's the best thing I can tell you to do.
Zach's never played me on that. If he thought the Predator killing was bad, he should play me on Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, you game better than I do, my friend. At least multiplayer-wise. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Before we go, let's do a little social media plug. Casey, where can people catch you on the interweb?
Look me up at Lucha Gringo on Twitter. I'm Lucha Gringo on Letterboxd too, so check it out. But you might get some spoilers to what my ratings are going to be for things on the episodes because I rate shit as soon as I see it. So don't look at that if you don't want to be spoiled about what we talk about on this show.
Chris, where can they find you on Twitter and the like?
Oh, what? Oh, sorry, I was asleep during all your video game.
I'm sorry.
Oh, anyway. You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Chris Pistol. That's KRISPISTOLE.
Question mark.
And I'm Ron Burgundy.
And you could find me on twitter.com/earth2mcfly. That's twitter.com/earth2McFly. You can find me there. And yeah, I will post some pictures of my dog. I just got a new dog. His dad's name is Alucard, so he's half vampire. He's the official mascot of Another Miserable Podcast now.
You know, I've been meaning to shit on you for that, Zach.
He doesn't like.
Alucard had a human mother, so at best he's 1/4 vampire.
He's part vampire, Casey. Deal with it.
A tiny bit. 1/4 isn't that much.
So, yes. So if you want to see pictures of my cool dog, follow me on Twitter.
Or follow me and you can see mine too, because I also
does have a cool dog named Cooper.
He's getting big, but he's a good boy, Cooper.
When one dog gets too big and not cute enough, we must substitute him with another cute puppy.
Right.
Be on the lookout for my future cute puppy as soon as Zach gets
you're
big.
next in line, Chris. You got to do it. Take one for the team.
And please follow us on Twitter at our official podcast website. That's twitter.com/MPOSofficial, twitter.com/MPOSofficial. That's where you find all the updates for the podcast. Also, please check out our YouTube page and subscribe there. You can find the link to that just through our Twitter page or just by searching Another Miserable Podcast on YouTube. Please subscribe there if you can. Really appreciate the support. That way we can eventually...
so we can get one of... custom URL.
Yeah.
So please
we can't do that until we have a certain number of subscribers, and we're not close to that right now. So please subscribe to us there. And any podcast streaming service that you use, we're on all of them. Subscribe to us on there, on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, everything. So please subscribe to us if you haven't. Yeah, any of the other podcast services that just have all, we're on everything really. So please subscribe to us. We're do 2 episodes a month. So we'll have another episode coming out. This will probably come out beginning of April, but maybe the end of this month if I can edit fast. So we'll see. But please look forward to April, and we have more coming your way. Please stay safe. I know this is a crazy period, so just be considerate and courteous of others. This is such an insane time to be living, but we'll get through it. And this won't last too much longer, and then we'll be able to go back to our usual routine. And we'll be able to hopefully go to more horror conventions and cover those for you guys and talk about all the cool stuff and go back to an actual theater and, see people walking down the street.
Well, as far as I know, Midsummer Scream is saying they're still on.
I hope so. Midsummer Scream is the best, so...
I wouldn't say the best, but it's pretty good.
Oh, come on. That was like the biggest horror convention we've been to. You know it is.
Yeah, but Monsterpalooza has my heart. I'm sorry.
They're both awesome. Anyway, I'm rambling here, so please take it easy, guys. Stay safe. Take care.
Stay the fuck home.
You can stay home. And we'll see you soon. Later.
Bye.
See ya.